Hi, my name is Bobby Shokes Jr. I am the founder and president of Shokes Enterprise and Keystone Property Service. This is the first of a three-part video series on this website, and if you're watching this, then you are at least somewhat interested in the idea of real estate investing. So I won't bore you or insult you with some big pitch on how now is the time or don't let this rare opportunity pass you by. We all get it. Buy low, sell high. Real estate prices are at an all-time low. Only recently have those prices started to stabilize. So what I'd like to do here is to tell you about who we are, what we do, and just as importantly, what it is that we don't do. What we do is this: we procure structurally sound, high-yield rental properties with long-term viability in mind throughout the greater Harrisburg, Pennsylvania area. I know that's a mouthful. But once we've acquired these structurally sound properties, we then renovate each property to a predetermined specific standard. Now, this is a standard that is designed to keep your rental property viable well into the future. We're looking at a 30-year window here. We're talking about new rubber roofs, updated electrical, plumbing, windows, gas furnaces, and so on. And note that we're not just talking about enough renovation on a property so that we can pass an inspection, so that it looks pretty, or so that we can lease it. A viable rental property must meet a standard that is sufficient for that property to remain viable well into the future. Otherwise, it's not worth doing. And a list of those predetermined standards can be found on this website. Now, after completing the renovation process, we then place viable tenants so that the property is immediately functioning or cash flowing before we ever offer that property up for sale to a long-term investor. Now, we then offer these properties for sale to those investors who are seeking to reach long-term goals. This is not a get-rich-quick scheme. In other words, retirement income. Now, retirement can mean different things to different people. But to us, it simply means this: you don't have to work anymore. You just choose to. And because you now have the choice, you can choose to pursue only those activities which you truly enjoy. But it doesn't end there. We definitely put our money where our mouth is, because after all that, we then provide a full warranty that's free for the first year, including all mechanicals. We also offer a 5-year roof certification. That's a warranty against leakage. And we offer a free, full-service property management for the first year. And last, but certainly not least, and this is where we separate ourselves from all of the other slick sales pitches out there, all the late-night infomercials, the well-produced websites, and the gurus selling secrets. Anyone who's been in business or senior management for more than a week knows that you can initiate all the policies, procedures, and structured mechanisms that you can dream up. But in the end, it all comes down to people. And our service is offered in such a manner that everyone involved is properly incentivized, not just long enough to get past the closing table, but over the next 30 years. And we'll talk more on that in a few. But right now, I'd like to tell you a little bit about who we are as professional people. Keystone Property Service is comprised of hands-on, in-the-field people who approach this business first and foremost from the construction side of the industry. Not the sales side, the construction side. For example, my personal background is as follows. My educational background includes multiple degrees in engineering, physics, and earth mineral science. I'm a former military officer. I'm a certified FHA inspector, HUD 203K consultant, a certified structural consultant, a licensed electrician, a licensed plumber, and a certified mechanical service technician, yada, yada, yada. I have personally framed, sided, trimmed, wired, plumbed, roofed, you name it, somehow participated in the building of literally over 1,000 homes. I've lost count. So you know well that I know full well what it means to get my hands dirty, because you name it, I've actually done it. In fact, I personally built my own family home, 3,600 square foot plus, start to finish, entirely by myself. From the footers in the ground up to the very last shingle on the roof and everywhere in between by myself. self. And I am the one who personally handles the acquisition, sales, and subsequent management of all new properties. I don't hide behind layers of other people. What you see is what you get, and that's me. Now, the actual rehab or construction process is personally handled by my brother, Curtis. And rather than bore you with another recitation of Curtis's credentials, let me just simply say that Curtis's construction experience and related skills, they easily exceed my own. Otherwise, I'd be doing it. And outside of my brother and myself, our group, I like that word group, includes a licensed attorney, an associate broker, a licensed leasing agent, and a full-time admin specialist. As a group, we are professional problem solvers with 20 to 30 years of professional experience each. Without exception, we are a group of can-do and go-to people from the staff to each of our clients. And that is a brief introduction of who we are and what we do. Now let me take a minute to tell you who we are not and what we don't do. Note that we are not a group of lifelong trained salespeople. We do not operate our business based on the preachings of the latest issue of some self-help book of the month club. We are real people solving real problems in a city where we have really come to care about very much. And I could go on about the thousands of real estate transactions that we have collectively been involved in. And I could nonchalantly brag about the millions of dollars in real estate transactions that we have been involved in. But those things in and of themselves can be very, very misleading. For example, if I buy a house for $100,000 and then immediately sell it tomorrow for $80,000, I can claim to have done $180,000 in real estate transactions, even though I lost $20,000 in the process. That's not much to brag about, is it? Or how about this? I know a guy who will often buy a house for $20,000, then sell it to you for $50,000. Well, he can then claim to have done $70,000 in real estate transactions. But if you then have to put another $20,000 into the very house he sold you for $50,000, and then you end up barely being able to sell it after a year's worth of carrying costs for the very same $50,000 that he sold it to you for, well, now he can still claim to have done $70,000 in transactions. And now you can claim to have done a total of $120,000 in transactions. But he is the only one that made any money. Meanwhile, you lost $20,000 in repair costs, and even more when you consider the carrying costs. Again, if you've been in business any time at all, you know that money spent does not equal money earned. And at Keystone Property Service, the only good deal is one where everyone involved comes out smelling like a rose. And in this business, that means 30 years down the road, not just immediately after leaving the closing table. And that is commitment. So that's a brief introduction into who we are and what we do, a little bit about who we aren't and what we don't do. I'd now like to invite you to peruse this website a little bit further, watch the next video where I will get into the nuts and bolts of how you can invest, and you're going to want to listen to this, how you can invest $5,000 and in just 3 years' time own 2 investment properties and still have your original $5,000 in your hand plus interest. And in 10 years, have those same 2 properties paying you a retirement income of between $700 and $800 per month at no real cost to you. Are you interested? If so, watch the next video and I'll explain it in detail. It's not a secret. It's not some new strategy. Deriving income from real estate holdings has been going on since the dawn of time. I didn't make it up. Everything comes down to people. So for now, thank you. I hope you'll consider investing with Keystone Property Service. And next time, let's do this in person.